impacts. We do expand this conversation with Channel Africa correspondent Nixon Katembo, who joins us for some analysis. A very good evening to you, Nixon. Thank you for your time. I mean, how would you describe the situation in the Eastern DRC?
I think the situation in the DRC is well known to be dire at the moment. But let me go back straight to the points that my interlocutor Nelson have said. He said of Rwanda not being involved in this conflict and the M23 and not being part or being assisted with Rwanda. We know for the fact that on the 17th of January, General Ruki Karusisi, who is the head of the Rwanda Special Forces, including General Eugene Nkubito, who is the head of military of the 3rd Division of the Rwanda military based in Rubavu, including Eric Murokole, met in Chanzu with the M23 leadership, including Major General Makenga, to discuss on how to drive an assault on Goma. And this is on the basis on the 18th, the Rwanda Defense Forces start deploying its forces from Bigogwe, a military camp, and the 3rd Division crossing into the DRC to assist the M23. And we know for the fact that the UN have outlined Rwanda's support for the M23, including material and military support that it's offering to the group. So to come here and say that Rwanda is not involved, I think it's a bit disingenuous. Yeah. If you go read the UN group of expert reports, you will see annexures showing by details how Rwanda's involvement is in this rebellion. So that is the essence what is going on.
With what motive, though? With what motive?
Congolese civilians.
If we talk about the involvement, what would the motive be behind it?
There are two aspects to this, or I might be saying three.
Yes.
One, Rwanda look at its national security, which is understandable for any state, because in realism, for any state, it have to look at its border, its security, and its national interest. That is one aspect. The second aspect is you look at the issue of Rwanda's economy, depending so much on the diluting of resources inside the DRC, particularly if you count now Rwanda being a major producer of coltan and gold. This is according to the UN reports, but also the World Bank and the IMF producing these reports, not my own saying. But if you look at the economic output in terms of mineral production from Rwanda, you find none, and you can trace this to the mineral conflict inside the DRC. The third is the ethno-linguistic cultural layout in terms of the regional dynamics. Rwanda and Eastern DRC almost share the same culture. And what is many of the analysts leaves out is that many of the population that are in Ruchuru, Masisi, and Walikale speaks Kinyarwanda. And many of them are either Tutsis or Hutus, and the majority of them in these regions are Hutus. And you know the dynamics around the socio-political dynamics within Rwanda post-1994 and the current of dynamics in terms of the conflict in the DRC that always suck in this issue of Rwanda associating the conflict in the DRC with FDLR. For reminders of our viewer, Rwanda had participated in more than 4 operations, joint operations with the Congolese armed forces. Yeah. They have failed to dislocate this FDLR. Then when you look at that also, you have to look at what is the number of the FDLR that Rwanda is is feeling threatened by. I would remind your viewer that, for example, in 2019, 2020, Rwanda captured or killed much of the FDLR rebels, including the likes of Mnachumra and many others. So we have to look at holistically the conflict on how it is unfolding and what are the motives, the real motives here. Absolutely. For me, it's more economic than anything else. And the need for Rwanda to assert itself, but also creating sort of a puppet pseudo-government in Eastern DRC that will be subservient to Rwanda's whim in terms of a political and economic and the social cultural aspect. And this is the essence of the problem in Eastern DRC. As long as we're not talking about this and we are not being honest of what is the problem, I don't think that the conflict will find a solution.
Nixon, before we let you go, the DRC's army has acknowledged that the rebels had made breakthroughs in Minova and Bweramana. It didn't say if the towns had been captured. Just looking at the implications of capturing an area such as Minova, what would be at stake?
I think it's nothing about it. It's not even a question of if of what. In this case, Goma has been sieged for some time. The only thing that is holding Goma, I think, is the UN troops, SADC troops as well, and the international aid that might come with that. But I think Rwanda is calculating the move that we just have to do this with capture Goma, and then we can put the rebels at a negotiating path to ask for direct talks with the DRC government. And for me, that is it. If you talk about the Sake, for example, that the rebel tried to capture this morning, if reports are correct, I'm well aware that the SADC forces were forced to retaliate and push the rebels out. But this is an ongoing conflict that is very serious, that requires technical maneuvering in terms of military strategies. Some of these rebels, particularly with the Rwanda, which understand too well the region, they are using a division of surrendered a former FDLR member who were integrated in the RDF, and they're being sent back to the DRC to assist the M23 to run through the hills and so on. If you look at the camp where for example, Bulembo camp near Sake, you go around area like Cheshero and Mubambiro, those are hilly areas. So they just, for example,
Nixon, unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut you off. But thank you so much for your time and giving us some insight on the latest developments on the ground. Channel Africa correspondent Nixon Katembo giving us the latest from the DRC.